Good morning.
Good morning.
So, Brother Stephen is under the weather. He's in pain and dizzy. And so we have the interesting development that we have another presenter today. All right, so we want to. Are you seeing my screen? Okay. So we want to look at caring in this year, and the definition of caring is a little bit different from what we're seeing, but it includes the traditional sense of being a blessing to others as well. So when I look at, I don't know how far we'll get, but when I look at some signs of a life that cares, and I'm looking at cares in the context of being connected to God and being active in His service, accessing God's grace to make life better for ourselves and others, a readiness to accept and to share the blessings that are available from God in Christ, and being engaged in leading a life that's pleasing to God. So that's the care that we're talking about. And we want to look at aspects. I have 7 here, but I'm not sure that we will ever get to that. Aspects of this caring in our lives. And how we want to do it, we want to continue with the participation, is that we want to look at each area and invite you to share either from your own personal experience or from experience of others or from the scriptures, information that supports the concept that we're having. We're saying, for example, that the life that cares has a vibrant prayer life. And what we want to do for the next minutes or two is to look at then what evidence do we have that prayer is effective, that prayer is valuable, and that we are using prayer. And look at people who have used prayer in the scriptures. I would prefer if we could speak from a more personal point of view as to what it is that we are doing in the area of prayer, our prayer life. But if you want to share from the scriptures or from other areas, we're happy. All right, so are we clear? If yes, say yes. If not, say no.
Very clear, sir. Very clear.
All right. Okay, good. So let me turn up my thing here. So what I just want to lay the foundation and then invite you to participate, please. All right. So at this point, we're looking at prayer, right? Life that cares has a vibrant prayer life. And we're saying that if we care, remember, connected to God, then we can approach God passionately and frequently. And if we look at 1 Peter 3:12, it says, "For the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and His ears are attentive to their prayer. But the face of the Lord is against those who do evil." So it suggests that if we're not connected to God, then our prayers will find a face that is set against us. So the life that cares prays about different things, and that's what we want to talk about. I don't want to have this as a sermon, so I want to ask you to jump in and to say, what kinds of things, what kind of prayer life should we be having? What are the areas that we should be praying about? And what is it that we personally, and I personally, pray about? That's what's on the table now. So we invite you, you can just mic up if you want to share the nature of your prayer life, or what it is that you understand from the scriptures, or any insights that you can draw from the scriptures that reinforces this need, this critical importance of vibrancy in our prayer lives if we are connected to God. I don't have any points, and it's not a competition between Mary and Joseph. So, because I think the women are far out now the men, so I'm not going to go into a competition, but I would just invite you still to be active and participate as we go along. I hope we are clear, right, as to what it is. So one of the things that we see here is a sort of 360-degree approach to prayer. What does that mean? What does that mean to you? Right? There's another approach to use this thing apart from incentives is just to call on people, you know, like we have teachers. So I have a list here. I could just run on my list and just select somebody, but I would prefer if you would volunteer. Anybody, in terms of this importance of prayer, how do you see it? What's the nature of your prayer life, or of the prayer life that you have seen? Is there an instance in the scriptures where you can recall somebody using prayer to great effect? Please come forward. Don't lay hands on anybody suddenly, but I think I'm right.
Okay, I will share.
Thank you.
In my personal prayer life, I usually pray for like health, because I have health issues that I live with that certainly affect my quality of life, and are also very expensive to deal with. So I always pray about that. And I also think of others who are in similar conditions, and I pray for them as well, because I don't think there is anybody who enjoys being sick. So
Yep.
I would pray for that. I pray for my family, sisters, my daughter, that they will come to know Christ. That is something I pray fervently about, because my sisters, my daughter, they are members of the church, but they have strayed. And I pray every day that they will return and come back to their first love. I pray for our country, Jamaica. I pray for other countries as well. I pray that our leaders will be wise in their decisions that affect our lives, and also that there may be opportunity to introduce them to the love of God and show them that there is something else that they should be striving towards. And generally, I pray for people who are grieving, people who may be alone and not sure what to do when they are faced with grief. And generally, that would be my prayer on a daily basis.
Thanks, Sister Beverly. I appreciate that. All right. Anybody else? So that's a 360 prayer. Thank you. In that it looks outside, looks at broader perspective. Anyone else that wants to spike up and share a little bit about this whole question of prayer, its effectiveness, um, the importance of having a vibrant prayer life. Let's, anybody else? All right. Let's move on. If you want to, we can come back to that. So the second thing is that the life that cares is his brother's keeper. All right. So this is an area that I think we need to be more aware of, pay more attention. Sometimes we're talking about um, what's happening with our brethren, what's happening with our neighbors, what's happening, are we really in touch? And what about in this middle of the COVID situation? How sensitive are our antennas as to the needs of others? The situation, the health, for example, of others, so that we get to a place where maybe we are surprised to hear that this person has passed when maybe they have been ill for a long time. How connected are we in terms of looking out for our brothers and wishing for them the very best, the same that we would want for ourselves, that we would want for them? How important is this as we go into 2022? This is what this is about. This session is really about. What kind of mindset, what kind of attitude, what are some of the things that we need to bring to the fore as we go into 2022? And one of the things that we have to look at is, as selfishness and a more independent, a more individualistic sort of attitude to life is being manifested. People, everybody for themselves, and the devil take the hindmost kind of approach. What is it that we can do or have been doing, if you want to share that? So Galatians 6:2 says, bear one another's burden so you fulfill the law of Christ. And also Ephesians 4 verse 32 says, be kind and compassionate to one another. It shows concern. This attitude that we're talking about, that should be manifested in 2022, should show concern and want the best for others, even to our own sacrifice, personal sacrifice. Philippians 2 and verse 3 says, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interest of others. So can we develop this? Can we talk a little bit more about what it is that we can do, where it is that we have fallen down in terms of this brother keeper mentality? Or are we so now engrossed in making our own way forward that this has fallen by the wayside? What can we do? What are your thoughts on this? Really need some points, brother, because this. Anybody want to talk about this whole issue of the brothers, keepers, neighbors? How feasible is it in this middle of this pandemic?
Brother Smith?
Yes.
Yeah.
Please.
This is one area that I like. I know we started out with our zoning, and we kind of fallen by the wayside, for want of a better term. But in essence, I think, well, based on my understanding anyway, I think there is a lot of reaching out going on in different pockets. There are a lot of informal care groups, if you want to use that term, where I may not be in all the different groups, but if for whatever reason, for instance, I'm not very close with Alan in terms of talking to him every day or knowing everything that's going on with him. but or with Giselle. But I speak with Sister Ndala, and she can fill me in with those. I'm not at all saying that that's a substitute or that's an accepted way, but I'm also saying that what there are pockets of caring, of reaching out going on, and I'm not too sure if um everyone is aware of the different reaching out, or and maybe compilation of that, maybe that is necessary, I don't know, to say, okay, we have collected different concerns from the different pockets, and here is what is going on and thing. But I do feel that there's a lot of reaching out going on, and a lot of caring, and a lot of bearing one another's burden going on behind the scenes.
Okay, that's encouraging. Kirk, thank you very much. Anybody else that's wants to chime in on that? I think it's extremely relevant at this point in time, because one of the challenges that is coming out of the pandemic, the issues, is that there are some psychological issues as well that people are having because of the need for connection and so on. And the danger that we have is that there might be some individuals, you have some people who will be connected, get connections from many different sources, but you might have some that are totally left out of the loop. And that's a concern that we have, is that how do we ensure that at least everybody, gets a touch, gets some kind of touch at some point in time. I don't know if you have any suggestions as to how that can be done, so that we don't leave anybody behind. Such. For those of you who are hearing my voice, this sermon actually took place earlier. Brother Grennell preached. This is an interactive Bible class, and we are seeking your participation in this discussion that we're having, as to a readiness to make 2022 a different year. And so some of the things that we're looking at, we spoke about earlier about the prayer life. What it is that we want to look at now is our approach to neighbors, taking care of, and then remember, in the scriptures, the neighbor is everybody, basically. How do we reach out? And we're talking about brethren maybe falling between the cracks, in the sense that there's no body touching them, but what also about our physical neighbors, like people that we live beside, people that we go to school with, people that we go to work with. Are there people who are in need, who are not receiving any sort of connection from others?
Martin?
Yes, please.
Earlier I spoke about psychological needs, so I agree with Kirk in that a lot of persons' physical needs are being met, and then the congregation has done a very good job of that over time. I also agree with your caveat, though, that persons are connected. We may not even know what those needs are. But I also think that person's psychological needs are important. And one way in which we meet each other's needs, or even just discover each other's needs, is through fellowship. We interact with each other, we talk to each other, we get to know each other a little bit better. That's one of the ways that we get to start to meet those types of needs, because those types of psychological needs, relationship type needs, aren't easiest types of needs to talk about, and they only come once you get a group comfortable with people. And one of my concerns is how we're going to get back to. So we don't know how long COVID is going to be with us. We're going to get back to some type of fellowship. Stephen had mentioned it in a previous Bible class. And it's a genuine question. I don't know the answer to it. But it's like, put it out there. Young marriages, to a point, teaching persons, young marriages, so to mentor and talk to them. The singles, what kind of guidance are the singles getting from the older folk within the congregation? Or are they, being left to figure it out on their own? Those types of things. When I think about my children and person in the age group, and I reflect on my life growing up in the church, there was Lord's kids and youth group. We're not really having, to my knowledge, those things much anymore. So, the children have their friends at school, but our friendships being developed in the church. And I've seen, over and over again that, yeah, doctrine is critical, but, when the pressures of teenagerhood come up and peer pressure and those things, it's the friendships in the church that keep people in. So I don't have any answers, but I could ask more questions.
I was just saying that to myself that, yeah, those are powerful questions, but what are the answers? I think, well, I'm not providing answers. I'm just trying to further the dialogue by suggesting that we might have to just work with what we have in the meantime. For example, for me, like the New Year's Eve, the games that we played and so on. It's not, fine, it's not the same, but it's a step, I believe in trajectory. So we might not be at a destination, but if we're moving in the right direction, that's helpful. And I just think that, we could do some more of the online connection. One thing we could do is also then to arrange that more of those are on camera, where everybody's on camera. Let me share something with you. All right. So my study group, that's like 20 odd years ago. Right? The husband of one of our group members passed, and so there was a decision to reach out to her and to whatever it is. And so some of the group members, we got together, we were on camera, and so and yeah, you kind of feel connected as if so there is no hug or whatever it is, but there is a connection that comes from the the face-to-face, the live, you're seeing the person, you're seeing the expressions, etc. So some of that is possible as well, where we have some live on-camera sessions where we can see people, see what is happening to them, hear what they're saying, etc. That is, just in terms of sort of group connection. Nobody's going to, in that kind of scenario, come out to say, hey, I'm having this problem, I'm, etc. So that requires another kind of connection. But then a lot of us are on WhatsApp. It's possible as well that people can just reach out one-on-one on WhatsApp to have some dialogue. So those are thoughts. Again, what is it that we can do in order to be more of our brother's keeper? That we're more in touch with what's happening to people around us and reaching out to them in meaningful ways. Thank you, Brother David. Asking some of the deeper questions, but it points to the greater urgency for this to be addressed. Anyone else wants to chip in on that?
Yes, one of the things that we can do is to get beyond using "how are you" as a greeting, because sometimes when you ask someone, "How are you?" they would like to tell you, but it's just a greeting in passing. So I think we need to, or we could use "how are you" to really start a conversation with someone who may want to open up about something that's happening in their lives. Some people have even physical needs for food, clothing, or anything like that. And if you don't talk to them, you would know, because they will more than likely not come and say to your boy, you know, I don't have no dinner this evening or something like that. So how are you? I believe we should use it as more than a greeting and should really stop to listen to the answer when we ask someone, hi, how are you? We should stop to listen to the answer.
And also set aside the time, Sister Beverly, set aside the time.
Yes.
Because, yeah, basically, yeah, if you ask that question, then it might take some time. Yeah. All right. So we're not going to go into a little vulnerability here and give you a situation. So there was a telephone call over the weekend here, and greeting someone, you know, having the discourse, and then the individual set off in explaining a health issue, an issue that they were having. Yes, yeah, that's it, a health issue, and the detail, you know, in which it was going on, and the recurring nature of the dialogue. Yeah. So we would suggest certain, you know, possibilities that would be rejected, and then it would go back over, and it was just like a treadmill. And so I must confess that I was at a point where I really wanted the dialogue, it was even that dialogue monologue to end. So yeah, if you really are serious, if you really are asking the question and are interested in the response, you really might just have to be sacrificial and create it, make the time to listen. So I'm just throwing it out there, but it can be challenging. So maybe that's a resolution we should have for this year. That, yeah, when we ask the question, be ready to listen and to be patient. You have to hear some encouragement from some of the more patient persons who would say to me, no, I'm not like that. Yeah, listen for as long as it takes. That's Brother Kirk. Okay, thanks. All right. Life that cares is generous. Whoa. In these challenging times, Brother Smith. So one of the challenges that we have is that we grow up with a scarcity mentality to some extent. I'm done blanketing everybody off, but there is a, in our human thinking, sometimes we don't see things through the perspective that there is an unlimited supply. Manifested, for example, when if the manna was being made available, and God says, you know, take what you need for the day, don't take any more. But yet still, there's a feeling, you know, that people started to hoard and to soar, you know, and of course the thing rot, etc. So that's not uncommon with human thinking, is that there is a finite amount. And so in our giving, we talk about it, you know, week after week, we talk about our giving. I'm not even talking about just giving, I'm just talking about a mindset of philanthropy, a mindset of seeing needs and caring. And it's not just material, but yes, we want to talk about some of the material things. And that's why I'm putting up 2 Corinthians 19 that says, listen to me, you see the source, the knowledge provide. So let me read it anyway. Now he who supplies seed to the sower and bread for food will also supply and increase your store of seed and will enlarge the harvest of your righteousness. You will be enriched in every way so that you can be generous on every occasion. And through us, your generosity will result in thanksgiving to God. So basically, the idea is that you can't outgive God. You know, if you go and you are generous and have a mindset to be kind, that the resources will be made available, right? So that's a question that, well, not a question, that's part of the discussion that we want to look at. As we have mentioned, if you're joining us late, we're looking at, well, signs. It is actually 7, but I say signs of a life that cares, and the care relates to, you know, being connected to God, accessing His blessings, being ready again to access and share the blessings of God, and being engaged in a life that's pleasing to God. So those are that's basically what the care means. But what about this whole issue of generosity? How feasible is that in these challenging times? And what are your thoughts? No points today, but we still want your participation. Is it feasible? That this is something that, you know, God expects of us.
Of course, it is feasible. I mean,
Tell me how, Sister Beverly, in these challenging times. Oh,
as a brother once said to me, if you really want to help someone, you know, and you usually have 2-finger banana for breakfast, you can have 1 or 1.5 and share with someone. Even if it really doesn't matter how small, if the heart wants to give, find a way to give. So it's not a matter of taking over all of the needs of someone else or being able to fulfill the need of everyone who is in need. But you can help someone along the way in some small way that will make a difference in the person's life. So it's not to look at, hey, I have $10, if I give away 2, I'm only gonna have 8. You know, if you look at it that way, you never feel like you have enough to give or to help somebody else. As I said, a generous heart will always find a way, and it will not feel sacrificial, you know, when you take something and you give it to someone who has a greater need than you, because that's what we're supposed to do as Christians. And if we can't do that, then we probably need to work on it to ensure that we get to the stage where we never feel like we are so stretched to help somebody else. First, there is always some little way to help someone.
Thanks, Sister Beverly. Yeah, that's I like the whole question of the spirit of generosity, etc. But let me just show something out as well. Suppose we, because of the spirit of generosity, because we are connected, because we are brother's keeper, we identify a need, you know, in someone. But at this point in time, we don't have the resources. Is there a role that we could, you know, assuming that we're not breaching any privacy issues, confidentiality issues, is there a role for us to rally the resources in order to satisfy the individual's needs? So let us say Brother A has an issue. Because of being connected, we recognize that there is this issue that brother A needs certain results, but I don't have the resources. Is there a way for me to use my connections or, whatever it is to assist brother to have the thing? Is that part of the generosity thing, so that I don't just throw up my hands and say, well, boy, I hear you and I'm really sorry for you, but I can't help you. Is there a spirit as well that can go into seeing, not just putting up the hand, I don't have the resources, but to see maybe how we can actually work with the brother, or find other ways to have the need manifested? Is that something that we could incorporate into this 2022 year of caring? Give me some thoughts on that. Maybe that has not been developed fully, but I hope you get the context in which I'm saying is that many times we will say, okay, fine, I see the need, but I don't have the resources. And then it's left at that. But is there a way for us to be still more engaged, keeping our mind on the focus, on the need to resolve the brother's issue? Come, guys.
Brother Smith?
Yes, go ahead.
I think you answered the question already. So yes, there clearly is a role for that. I think we need to be creative in terms of how we view generosity. Generosity don't only mean going into your wallet and giving money. It could mean, as you said, organizing support. It could mean being generous with your time and just being able to sit down and listen to others. Things like what Fairan does in terms of teaching the kids, that is generosity as well. So, where we may be affected by scarcity in one way or another, we can find other ways of being generous.
Yeah, that's what I did. Yeah, it's a mindset that I think we need to encourage, develop if we don't have it, and it's really looking out for others. Again, when we had looked at the prayer talk, we talk about the 360 prayer. So that 360 should not only be words, but also some deeds. All right, let's move on a little bit more. Wow, this ties right in with today's sermon. So maybe we can somebody can tell us what it is that they drew from today's sermon. Yeah. So, yeah, the life that cares, you can feel the joy. You can, when you connect with them, you can sense a certain joy. I have to go back to Sister Germaine, to me, dear departed Sister Germaine. I think everybody who comes in contact with her would sense that there is an inner joy, even though we know the challenges that she has gone through, and from illness with her husband and that cost, etc. And yet still, you sense the joy. So yeah, so the Philippians 4:4 that talks about the rejoicing in God always. Don't want to repeat the sermon, but seriously, what kind of takeaway that we got from that that could be reinforced as we go through 2022. And but it's interesting. This was written like what is like in 2015, I think. This document here. But look at this calm assurance. Brother G was saying that one of the things that he liked about joy, that definition was this calm thing. So that people might think about joy as jumping up and down, but is that sense that peace reigns. So your co-workers should feel that, where certain things happen to you and they expect that you would respond in another way, and you basically manifest a sort of calm and assurance, a sort of otherworldly response to abuse, maybe, or shocking developments. Is this one of the things that we should be looking to bring to the fore in 2022? Talk to me. Anybody who heard the sermon, should be able to contribute here. How easy is it? Yeah, go ahead.
That's me?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay. For me, both the joy and the giving comes from a different mindset, if you want to put it that way. Where if I know that my uncle, he lives just a door away and he have unlimited resources, rich, and he has opened his floodgates, if you want to use that word, to me. Each time I need something, I can just walk 2 gates, or give him a call, and my needs are met. And it wasn't just him talking, but I've tested it a few times, and he has come through. Then with that knowledge and experience comes a peace, that you're saying, listen, things may not look so good, but I know if it should comes to the wire, I have a way out. I have somebody looking out for me. And out of that comes a peace that says, listen, I don't have everything together, but I know there is somebody out there, and I guess moving it into the spiritual realm can there can maybe be a disconnect where it is seen that God is this far off person that you might forgot to take 2 planes and 3 buses and a few prayers and stuff, hoping that he will see my need and reach it. But it's the same concept where if we recognize that God is for us and who can be against us, that God does provide our needs, that he does care, etc., 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 then there's a calm mindset, a calm reassurance to say, as I said before, I don't have everything together. It's rough some days, but the knowledge that I have some help gives me a little ease before I even go for the help. Just the knowledge that I have the help give a little ease, and then the actual going gives another ease. If I don't know if I'm making sense.
Very, very much so. As a matter of fact, I have a facetious addition to the thing, is that you have also the assurance that your uncle can't die or lose his wealth. That's the spiritual side of it, that it is constantly there. You don't have to worry about, one day they hear that boy uncle gone. Because that might put you into panic, So yeah, I love it. Is that source is there, and so therefore, why should I panic? We sing the song, "Why worry when we can pray?" So yes, Kirk. Well, a lot of sense. All right, so thank you. I'm not going to dwell more on the joy. Let me just go down to another one of these. Can we have that? All right. Whew, this is a tougher one. All right. So let me try to bring those who are not familiar with the concept. All right. So when you look on television and you see these people talking, and they're speaking fluently and apparently not looking at any notes or anything like that, right? You might see some things that look like bulletproof, protection. But basically, what it is that the scripts are being put up on what it is a teleprompter. Right? Sorry, if you are there already, apologize, but just in case. So, in essence, the same thing happens in our heads, in our brains, right? In that thoughts come up, things for you to think about, things for you to say, things for you to do, and it's actually coming from your past, your history, the habits, all sorts of different factors cause things to be brought before you. If you use what the teleprompter puts up, then they will produce more of that. Basically, those of us know who understand the underpinnings of social media understand that that's what's happening. They have this algorithm that picks up. If you're interested in this, click on this boot or something like that, and for the next however long, you're going to see all sorts of boots like that. Basically, what it is a reinforcement of whatever it is that you like. You will get more of that. And so in our minds, and that's what basically the whole game is being played out there, is a question of which one of the prompts that come before you are you going to use? If you use these kinds of prompts, then you're going to get more and more and more of that. And so that is a battle that we have on a daily basis, because we have forces that want you to accept, think about, follow certain prompts, and based on where you're coming from, that's one of the transitions. That's what the part of the transformation is, that we have accepted, we have liked, we have actually spoken, done some of the prompts that have come in the past that we don't want to keep doing, but because of the history, it will still come before us. And that's where the fight is. The fight is, how do we then train the teleprompter that no longer should you give me prompts about this because I'm not in that space anymore. I want more of this. That's the fight that we have, right? So James 3 verse 2 says, we all stumble in many ways. Anyone who is never at fault with what they say is perfect, able to keep the whole body in check. Doesn't have. So my thing would be, how do we, in 2022, so train the prompter so that you don't even want the thought to come? Because the risk is that if the thought comes, you might actually even accidentally follow the path. So it's a question of managing the mind so that when weary thoughts that are distractions, or thoughts that you no longer want to do, we have to quickly shut it down and move on to other thoughts and to bury them in the positive that you want to produce. Somebody help me. Am I kind of clear about what it is that we're saying? Is that this game is a battle for your mind, basically, for your thoughts, because what you say comes from your thoughts, what you do comes from your thoughts. So it's a battle for your thoughts. So what you want to do is to create thoughts that are aligned to the vision that you have in terms of your service to God, your alignment with God. And that's why part of the thing about immersing in the scriptures and even singing the songs that are encouragement, the more we double down on those things that we desire, is the more we will have some of that. All right, let me give you another analogy. CDs, DVDs, if you want to call it that. How these DVDs work is that they have this laser that actually put pits, if you want to call it, put holes, then dig up. So that's what they write on the thing, right? So what happens if you look at your life as a CD, DVD coming up? that you have filled that up with actions, thoughts, deeds over time. Okay, so now we come to transformation. We don't like a lot of the stuff that is on our DVD. What we need to do then is to rewrite the DVD with the new stuff. But it will take time because you have all of that there. And the more we allow some of the old things to come back in, you start to have the reinforcement. So those are two scenarios that I'm giving you, two graphical approaches to looking at what's going on in your mind, what's going on when we talk about service to God, when we talk about living life, Christian life. Those are examples of what's going on, the challenge that we have mentally, the battle for our minds. So questions, comments on that, lot of stuff there. In that it's a lot of what it is that we do almost comes from our subconscious. As a matter of fact, most of what it is that we do is prompted from our subconscious. So what we have to do is to rewrite at that lower level. So we might actually sing, and Brother Grennell talks about people who in church might say these very vocal in terms of what it is that we are saying, but how deep is that? And how far down is that coming from? That's the key. The battle is at the teleprompter level. When our teleprompters start to give us prompts that are totally aligned or very, very significantly aligned with our spiritual purpose, with our goals, with those things that we could embrace as positive, then we know that we are winning the battle. But if we're still getting prompts that invite us to deviant behavior or things that are not aligned to our service, then we know that the battle continues. Plenty mouthful. Please, somebody respond. Tell me, what have you heard? What does it mean?
Brother Smith?
Yes.
Okay, so I will say something here. Okay, so I see this point, and I talk of something that happened over the Christmas. So I was in a situation where it was a group of people and where everyone was talking, and I realized some passions are unfamiliar, some feelings of insecurity and feeling deflated, just started to overcome me. And for days, I felt really troubled by the feelings, because it has been years since I've felt this way. And when I see the teleprompter here, I thought to myself, well, this is really similar to what I was feeling, those thoughts in your mind that maybe, feelings of feeling less than and insecure. Maybe you thought you're moving beyond that, but then you're placed in a situation where those feelings come, flooding back. And I go back because after the experience, for days I said, well, it seems like this year is going to be 1 year where I'm back at square one, where I have to battle those feelings again. And, I thought about, I was so glad for the New Year's Eve message from Brother Thomas, because he gave an imagery which was so appropriate for me. You're children of Israel, you're out of bondage, going into freedom. You're not there yet. You look to the left, there is sand. Look to the right, there's sand, and behind there is Pharaoh. And you can see Pharaoh as this big evil person. If I put it in cartoon in my mind, reaching out to grab you back into bondage. And I related that imagery back to what the situation that I had. And I said, it's the same thing. Here are these feelings pulling you back to bondage, pulling you back to where you may have been 10 years ago or so. And I said, as Brother Thomas said, go forward. why you crying, why you complaining? Go forward, train your mind. So back to the teleprompter, I thought to myself, okay, I have to train my mind. These are just thoughts, match the thoughts with the feelings, just move forward, just keep going. Again, back to I wanted to share before, in terms of prayer. So in, just processing all that happened during the Christmas, I thought to myself, well, I need to go back to prayer life. It's very powerful. Have a structured prayer time, structured prayer life, get that right so that you can have that filling up. And once you fill up, then you can have joy. So in spite of what situation you're in spite of what is happening, that you're so filled up inside that that situation will not deflate you, bring you back down, So joy again, the life that cares, praying, joy, and then back to the teleprompter, you training the mind, training your thoughts. It's gonna take effort, it's gonna take a lot of work, but for me, I think this is much of what I have to work on for 2022. That's my sharing.
Thank you. Powerful share, Sandra. One of the things that I just want to say, I know we're running out of time. Let me just quickly say this though, that if you go back to both things, if you go back to the DVD, the information that was there before is not completely rewritten. So there is a chance that when you put it in, you might actually hit some of the old stuff that you wanted to get beyond. Similarly, if you think of the teleprompter, think about placards that people put in up placards. The placard that they built is still there. So when somebody might actually take up insufficiency placard, a self-doubt placard and put it up. The key is one, not to, because how the subconscious works is that if you really get so focused on it and get so mad about it, etc., it tends to then reinforce it. So the quick thing to do is to move yourself away from it into something else, distract yourself from it, so that you don't pay particular attention to it. So that then the message is saying that this is not something I'm interested in. But sometimes when we get back into things that we are wanting to move away from, we say, oh no, yes, why could you? And we put a lot of emotions in it. The subconscious sees that as reinforcement. That's what they tell you in the social media, that the negative things, what it is that you hate is what they will bring up. So that's why the hate things are actually are being produced by the algorithms. They put you more. The more you show that you hate something, is the more you're gonna get information related to that. So that's the key. The key is to try to dodge the prompt almost as if it didn't occur, as against paying a lot of attention to it and move on to something that you want to replace it with. All right, the time is up. Thank you very much for the participation. I got a lot from it, so I hope that some of you also got the same from it. I'm going to turn over to somebody. Brother Engel, is that you?
It's me, brother.
Oh, sorry, yes, okay. So you are with, okay, so I'm Sandra co-host. I don't know if I don't see your thing separately.
You can't just bring up my announcements. I don't have it.
All right, okay, cool.
Yeah. So I want to thank Brother Smith for taking us through a very interesting class and on very short notice. Thank you very, very much, Brother Smith. And you have given us a lot to think about. Earlier, just asked if we could get this document, Brother Smith, we can go through it in our own time, just to reflect some more on the care concept and the
oh, sure.
well.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much.
Sorry. Right, 1 second. Share. You should be sharing.
All right, we have some birthdays today. I recall today's some about Chris as well as
Where is that? Okay, there we go.
yeah, right.
Sing.
But Chris and Sister Chung on the 8th of January. So we're gonna sing happy birthday for all these folks. And give an extra special happy birthday to you, Brother Smith, on today, your special day, as you continue to grow younger and younger. So share wisdom with us. We didn't have very many other announcements except American Nav Life. So we're asking you please to recall the Nav Life on the 15th of January. Very, very, very important topic: purpose, goals, and fulfillment, a different approach to personal planning. If you're anything like me whose resolutions die by March, if I'm lucky, February, if I'm not, I certainly need a different approach. And so let us all tune into this on the 15th of January. Let us also remember that our Bible class continues on Tuesday evenings at 6:30. We also have the grief therapy support group on the 29th of January at 6:30 p.m. for us to support as well. It has been a great day of worship and encouraging Bible class an encouraging sermon about joy and a very encouraging Bible class looking at the Christian who cares. So thank you to everyone. I think sing happy birthday now to Brother Smith, Chris and Sister Chung. If there are no other announcements, if there's nothing anybody else has to say. Brother Smith, anything to add? All right, that is a no. So let's sing happy birthday to Brother Smith, Chris, and Sister Chung. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday,
to you. Happy birthday, dear Brother Smith. Good
and the
birthday
others to you.
you.
May the good Lord bless all I know. May the good
Good
bless
Lord bless
all
all
of
our honor.
May the
good
good
bless
Lord
all our
bless
honor.
all.
Happy
Happy
birthday to all our
birthday
honor.
to all of them. Amen. Are there any other announcements, brethren? If not, let us.
Brother Smith. Happy birthday, Brother Smith.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I was talking and my mic was good. So thanks a lot.
Wish you all the best. Another year.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Moving forward on extended time. Yeah.
Thanks everyone. Thanks, Brother Smith. So have a great week, have a great year, Brother Smith, and we trust that all of us will have a great week where we allow our lights to shine as we seek to truly be caring as Christians. If there are no further announcements, we'll end here. Ready, Smith?
Okay. All right,
Amen.
thanks.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye all.